a really, really good Penn State team. I think that's obvious to anybody that's watched them or followed them this year. They're certainly playing as well as any team we played all year, and I think they're a bona fide NCAA tournament team and top 25 team. It's been interesting when you look at them. They're really tough, really well coached. They've got two seniors who are both, I believe, top 50 players in the country. So they have a couple fourth-year guys. They've got a great team toughness and real togetherness about them, and I think they're a really, really good team. Well coached, tough, come at you aggressive. And you look at their scores, they've really blown out just about everybody, even the game they lost. There was one game at home that was close, but the game that they lost, they were up, I believe, 20 plus. Everybody else that they played, Syracuse, Georgetown on the road, they've blown out. The games haven't been really close. I think everybody knew that they were coming in the season and projected to be a really good team, and that's what they are.
How much does Lamar Stevens make them go?
Well, I think he's tremendous, and I know he flirted with the NBA, but when you talk about him, I think everybody in the league, when you talk to other coaches, they talk about the mismatch issue that he is and really has been, probably dating back to his freshman year, but certainly his sophomore year. He's certainly one of the hardest matchups in the entire country, no question.
I know Pat talked at Big Ten Media Day about really challenging him to win every drill and to be a more competitive guy. And I know what he's done against you guys in some of the games you've played. Have you seen a different side of him as you've prepared for him this season? Does he look different in any way compared to what you're used to?
I think it's tough to tell because I think he's always been outstanding. I think he was first team All-League last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's probably more motivated as a group to have a great year, to get to the tournament, and I'm sure that's where they'll end up. But I think he seems as motivated as he's ever been.
You had said going into the Carolina game that they would test you with their length in the paint and some of their physicality. How did that prepare you guys for this game in any way? Do you think you've been physically challenged the way you're going to be challenged tomorrow?
That's the best defensive team we've played. Numbers show it. They back it up with, you don't have to take my word for it. You can look at Ken Palm. They're a top 10 defense in the country. So different because they're just a better defensive team than anybody we've played. They're really active. I did think UNC's length would be a factor, and it was. When Baycott got hurt, it changed a little bit because they went with the smaller lineup for most of the game.
I thought the ESPN cameras caught a cool moment. You and Peden looked like he was laughing, like full on laughing.
Yeah.
And you just had this grin, like right at tip off, like, here we go. Like, this is a good college basketball environment. Glad to be here type of thing. What was going through your mind, like tip off time?
Yeah, I think at that moment, if it's the moment that I can recall, I think I was, I just told him, I said, because I coached there a couple of times.
Yeah.
I just said that I love the start of this, the energy in the place and the start of games in the Dean Dome. And I said, enjoy this for a minute here, for a few seconds, because it's a pretty fun start to a game.
I know before the game, before going into it, I understand it. You're in your third year in this program. You beat a number 1. You beat number 3 Purdue at Mackey, and that's as good an environment as you're ever going to walk into as well. But on the flip side of that, like knowing what it's incredible. Like the stats that I'm seeing coming out of that game, you guys handed them a historical loss. Like that's North Carolina basketball. You beat them by 25, and there's you're saying it's the second worst loss in 56 years of Carolina hoops. Like, is there any extra thought on what you did, or are you in on the season at hand?
I tell you, I think had we had some separation maybe between the games, I think it would have given us more time to maybe embrace what happened. I did tell the players afterwards, they're the ones that earned it, and I really wanted them to enjoy it that night, and to just enjoy kind of their hard work. Obviously, it's a different Carolina team. It was a different team without Bacow. Well, I think we all understand that. But I think what as a coach, really what you're trying to do at that point is quickly move you and your staff's mindset to what's coming, less than 72 hours away. And that is a really good opponent that we're going to have to play as well as we've played all year. And that's what our focus was.
Do you know Pat Chambers very well?
Not great. I don't know Pat great. We have not got to know him real well in the league, but certainly respect the job he's doing.
It seems like from afar he's needed some time to maybe build that program, maybe some similarities with the desire and passion for football at that place, like it is it is here. But I mean, like, you know him, Brad Stevens, really well. He knows Jay Wright really well. Seems like around basketball, people like Pat Chambers.
They do. I think he's a really likable guy. And that's been my impression of him as well. Just a really likable guy. He is at a school where it's certainly a football school, so there's real similarities, probably as much as any other school in the league in terms of how driven they are about football, as well as here. I think that a couple years ago when we played them our first year and they beat us 3 times, I thought that was a bona fide team that if they got to the tournament could win a game or two with Tony Carr and then these guys that are now seniors. It was proven how good they were when they went on and won the NIT. I think we all in here know you got to be a really good team to win the NIT. So I think he will admit it's his best team he's had there. And they're, like I said, as tough as any team will play all year.
Caleb had the back-to-back charge calls.
Yeah.
Well, how did you talk him through that afterward, and what did you, I guess, as you broke down the film and try to find things you can teach from him, how they're calling the game on him, what do you take from those and tell him to work on?
I thought both calls were really tough calls. I think maybe in most games you're going to get one of those that's going to go against you, but maybe not both. I thought he tried to turn and make a play on the second one. He just caught it and turned to the basket, and maybe we got to do a better job of teaching him to catch and read it first before he turns to try to make a play. I thought he handled it, 2 tough calls. I thought he handled it really, really well.
Was that a sign of, we've talked a lot about his maturation. Obviously it wasn't any of 10 and 9, but is that a sign of maybe where he's growing still as a player?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And probably his reaction, all of our reaction might have been different if the game was a 1 or 2 possession game.
Yeah.
At that point, I think it was 8, 10, 12 at that point, maybe more. So, but he's handling his emotions well. He's a difficult guy to officiate, and I don't think they always get it right. I understand he's difficult because of how big and physical he is.
Do you sense anything from him going into, you know this is going to be a physical game, you know the history of Penn State.
Yeah.
Do you sense anything from him as far as just getting ready for this game, that this is going to challenge him in a way that he hasn't been challenged this year?
I think what I've been as impressive with Caleb, anything is this year is his leadership and his voice you hear consistently. And I think anyone that has played in this game knows in the past how physical it's going to be. It'll be the most physical game we probably will have played all year. It'll be similar to, like, if you guys watched a Cincinnati, how physical that game was. They have great size. So he's got to be ready for that and understand he's going to have to play in crowds.
You mentioned the physical play of playing North Carolina and Cincinnati. Do you like that you're playing physical games leading up to conference play where you know what you're gonna get game in and game out?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly that helps. League opponents know you, I've always said, better than anybody. It's like playing your brother in the backyard. So there's a different level of understanding of you and your personnel and how you do things. And I think our guys understand that.
Penn State has given you fits over the past few years.
Sure.
Is there anything that they do specifically, that Pat Chambers does specifically, that is different than a lot of other teams do when you play them?
No, I just think they're really tough. I think they're really tough. They've had really good size that has neutralized some of our strengths in the past couple of years. They had a really good matchup for Keita his freshman year. I think we only played them once last year, I believe. So yeah, it was just they've been good for one. They've had last year they had some struggles in league play, but you look at their Ken Palm at the end of the year, they're top 50 in the country. So and then 2 years ago we talked about that team.
Will you break out the hard hat again?
No, the hard hat was Coach T's idea, and we'll see what we do with that in the future. But certainly this is a hard hat game for sure.
Ibrahima didn't make the trip. I guess he was sick. How is he doing, and has it spread to anybody?
No, knock on wood, so far so good. He had strep, or had strep, had a fever, so we had to leave him home, and we didn't want him on a plane with the rest of the guys, but he's feeling better.
And you guys are able to bring Justice with you. Did you have to put in for a waiver for
Yeah, travel waiver for him, which we'll always try to do for sit-out transfers, just to get him around our guys, and so they're not sitting back here at home and isolated.
What is some of the benefit for that?
I want those guys to really want to get into Big Ten play on the road. I want them to be familiar with, what a road environment is like, how we do things on the road, how we operate, so it's not such a surprise to them next year. And then I just think them connecting to their teammates is as important as anything.
And getting Zoe some first half run, was that a matchup thing? Was that a practice reward, or what?
Yeah, just trying to lengthen our bench a little bit. Whether it's he and Justin or both guys on occasion, I just want to try to continue to do that as we move forward, if we can.
I was unfamiliar with maybe some of the changes in the rules and what could be reviewed. It just, I guess, goaltending did not get pushed through.
Yeah.
Like with the committee hearings this past offseason.
Yeah.
Do you guys get a chance to vote on that as coaches? What can be reviewed and?
You know what? I don't think we get a chance to vote. There is a rules committee that makes a lot of the decisions. I think part of it is they're just, you may be referring to Dwayne's the other night where his was a goaltender that they didn't call. I think they're just trying to eliminate as many stoppages of play as possible. So they don't want to go to the monitor for everything. And that's probably one of the things they let go.
Yeah. It just seems they'll go to the monitor for a difference of 0.3 of a second.
Yes.
But when points are in the bucket, they won't.
Yeah. Well, I was just happy they went to the monitor for that 15-footer that they called a 3. That foul line jump shot where the official threw up his hands. I was just happy they called. They went to the monitor for that.
Last thing for me, your team is just playing.
It was a great officiating crew,
Yeah,
by the way.
it was great.
Let me say that. It was a really good crew. They just missed that call.
Your defense has been just stifling so far. I mean, I didn't know if this was something that you emphasized in the preseason, that this could be something you can hang your hat on, the hard hat thing. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or is this just come naturally to this group?
I think we have some solid individual defenders that do like to play defense together. Caleb's mobility has really helped. I'm interested to see how good we can be when we play, throughout this month, when we play similar competition and talent level, that we played the other night, that we're playing tomorrow, where you get a real feel for how good we can consistently be. I think if our numbers continue to be fairly consistent, I think it's probably unrealistic to expect them to stay where they're at. But then I do think we have good individual defenders who like to defend and some versatility. But we struggle defensively at times when Caleb is out, and in certain situations, because we don't have enough size behind him. His ability to kind of protect things at the rim. So he's important to that.